Hey everyone, hi Maggie, hi Vaishnavi. It is so good to see you again. I had the privilege of going to London Pride yesterday, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it was one of the best and most fruitful and edifying and honestly just enchanting experiences of my life. 17 out of 10 best protest slash party I've ever been to. I went with a group of friends from my class, and we all went down to where it was held, and it was wonderful, and there were so many amazing people and participants in the parade, and we had the lovely opportunity to say hello to the one and only Daniel Howell, whom I have admired for years and years, and we also got to see a little mix and Sam Smith and Sir Ian McKellan, at which point I just about lost my mind. So that was absolutely amazing, and I am so grateful that we all got the opportunity to go. 3, 2, 1, London Pride! I have a lot more footage, and if you'd like to see it, I could post it at a later date. I took a lot of videos and photos from this experience because I really wanted to document it. It was my first Pride. And it's relevant to this channel because sexuality and public health are inextricably intertwined. According to a 2016 study by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Association, LGB adults are more than twice as likely as heterosexual adults to experience a mental health condition. Additionally, the 2015 U.S. Transgender Survey revealed that 48% of transgender adults had considered suicide in the past 12 months, compared with just 4% of the general U.S. population. And this ties into what we're talking about today: sex and mental health. It's not a secret that I've experienced various chronic brain conditions throughout my life. I've talked about my experiences with Tourette syndrome and anorexia nervosa on this channel, and I'll link those videos below. In the video I made about my experience with anorexia, I referenced a 2018 study by the National Eating Disorders Association, Trevor Project, and Reason's Eating Disorder Center. The study showed that over half of LGBTQ+ youth surveyed had been diagnosed with an eating disorder at some point in their lives, and of those who hadn't been diagnosed, a majority of them still believed they had an eating disorder. And it's not just eating disorders. An ever-expanding body of research suggests that LGBTQ+ people are more susceptible to conditions like major depressive disorder, anxiety disorders, and substance use disorders, among others. Between 1952 and 1973, the American Psychiatric Association classified homosexuality itself as a mental disorder in the DSM-2, and early editions of the DSM-3 before it was removed from the DSM-3R, thanks in part to research by psychologists such as Dr. Evelyn Hooker and Dr. Charles Silverstein. According to the Human Rights Campaign, quote, "Within the LGBTQ community, transgender people and bisexual women face the most alarming rates of sexual violence. Among both these populations, sexual violence begins early, often during childhood." Unquote. This conclusion is based on the CDC's National Intimate Partner in Sexual Violence Survey and the 2015 U.S. Transgender Survey, which revealed that 47% of trans individuals and 46% of bisexual women had been sexually assaulted at some point during their lives. And the U.S. Transgender Survey revealed that the most heavily impacted demographics were people of color. Quote, "Among people of color, American Indian, multiracial, Middle Eastern, and Black respondents of the 2015 U.S. Transgender Survey were most likely to have been sexually assaulted in their lifetime." Unquote. Regardless of sexuality or gender, survivors of sexual assault are at a particular risk for conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder, major depressive disorder, substance use disorder, eating disorders, and various anxiety disorders like these. In June 2018, the NHS announced that as part of a new care plan, survivors of sexual abuse and assault would receive lifetime mental health care to help them cope with the trauma. Not only do survivors of sexual abuse experience brain health conditions at an unusually high rate, but people with disabilities, including certain brain health conditions, are more likely to be the victims of crimes, including sexual crimes, than are people without disabilities. Children with disabilities are also more likely than children without disabilities to be suspended from school and therefore incarcerated later in life. A 2018 study by the National Council on Disability revealed that children in special education classrooms were twice as likely to be suspended from school, greatly increasing their risk of incarceration. The report states, quote, "In combination with zero-tolerance policies at schools, these students are suspended at disproportionately high rates and ultimately criminalized. The result of this systemic discrimination is that over half of our incarcerated population has a mental illness, and another 19 to 31% have a non-apparent disability, like cognitive or learning disabilities. The kicker is that people who are incarcerated, especially people who are LGBTQ+, people of color, and people with, quote, severe psychological disturbance, unquote, are at additional risk for sexual abuse, both by other inmates and by prison staff. People who are already at risk for abuse are forced into situations that make them even more vulnerable. They get blamed for their victimhood and denied health care, which further increases their risk of health issues, poverty, and re-victimization, and so the cycle continues." So, what can we do? Well, we can increase access to special education resources rather than suspending students. This would include paying teachers more. We can abolish the mandatory minimum sentencing laws that keep people in prisons. We can provide comprehensive mental health services, like assertive community treatment. And, of course, provide comprehensive sex and relationship education to every student in every state, in every school. Include discussions of LGBTQ+ issues, consent, masturbation, intimate partner violence and abuse, love, desire, infection prevention, vulnerability, gender compassion, and, above all, medically accurate information. As a health education advocate and as a student of medicine, my goal is to put myself out of work. The day that each person receives accessible, affordable, and comprehensive healthcare and education, Maggie, Vaishnavi, and I will throw a party, make some hot chocolate, and go find something else productive to do. But until then, we'll be here.